Well, friends, Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Thank you for joining our broadcast tonight on very many platforms, and we always welcome your comments, your questions, and we're going to talk about some very important things tonight. Let's start with a prayer from my book, Pro-Life Reflections for Every Day, and then I want to give you this evening a reflection on a passage that so many of you heard in church this past Sunday in regard to the parable of the Good Samaritan and some of the things that teaches us about our pro-life commitment and our national policies. But first, a prayer and then some comments on the news of the day. Pro-life reflection for today from Genesis 1:28. Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Reflection: the single largest destroyer of human life in our nation and in the world is not poverty, is not AIDS, is not heart disease, is not cancer, is not terrorism, is not war, is not global warming or climate change. It is abortion. Some 50 million children around the world are killed each year by this procedure. Let us pray. O Lord, enable us to pursue those things that will preserve our species and continue to fulfill your original command to be fruitful and multiply. Amen. Well, you can get your copy, and I'll be happy to sign it and give a message to you personally at prolifereflectionsforeveryday.com. Well, we just got news a matter of an hour ago or so that Justice John Paul Stevens, retired Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, has passed away. And so we want to offer condolences to his family and friends and colleagues, prayers for the eternal repose of his soul. And if you follow Supreme Court politics and the abortion issue, know that John Paul Stevens was on the wrong side of the abortion issue and the wrong side of Supreme Court decisions on this issue, even going so far as to overturn state laws even on partial birth abortion. So the death of any Supreme Court justice reminds us, first of all, of the importance of the court, the monumental task of agreeing to serve on the court, whatever positions one takes. It's really a monumental responsibility, and it brings our minds, of course, to the importance of the court and the importance of getting the right kinds of judges on the court. And by the right kinds of judges, we mean those who understand that their role is one of judgment. It's not one of legislating or creating new policies. It's simply one of judgment. Does the case before them get resolved one way or another based on the text of the Constitution and the actual text and meaning of any laws pertaining to the case that they're deciding? And their decision is supposed to affect the parties to the case. Courts are not supposed to be rewriting the Constitution or inventing rights that don't exist or changing laws that do exist. This is fundamental, and it's a good reminder. But above all, we want to extend our condolences to any family, friends of Justice John Paul Stevens, and as we do for anybody, commend their soul to the Lord and pray for their eternal repose. So that's the first piece of news I want to share with you here tonight. Now, I put in the title of our broadcast this evening, my friends, let's look and see if there is racism in these tweets of President Trump, for which he was criticized today on the floor of the House of Representatives. Listen, let's back up for a moment. We told you in the midterm elections that if the Democrats took control of the House of Representatives, they would not govern, and they haven't been governing. They would simply obstruct, criticize, do absolutely worthless and fruitless efforts at impeaching the duly elected president, whom they despise, and whose election they still can't wrap their minds around. And it's come to pass. It's come to pass. They just want to obstruct the work of the administration in any which way they can. Understand what's happening in the bigger picture here. This is all about the elections of 2020, and it's also about the election of 2016, which the Democrats still cannot accept in their mind, in their heart. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that Donald Trump won. Well, he did. He's our president, and it doesn't matter if people don't like it. There are ways of fixing that while a person is president. Well, you do what we did under President Obama. You refute his ideologies and you debate his policies and show why they're wrong and bad and harmful for America. You use the legislative process to try to improve those policies. And then you use the voting booth to express your position. But the opponents of President Trump don't want to do that because they don't have the arguments. They can't come up with better policies. You do understand. We've got the best economy that we've had in 50 years. We've got the best economy right now that we've had in 50 years. And we are, this is, brothers and sisters, something that some people are just, well, they'd rather talk about the clouds than look at the reality of what's going on here. They certainly don't want priests like me talking about what a good economy we have. Hey, Father, talk about heaven. Talk about heaven. Don't challenge us Democrats about our stupidity or our hatred of the president. You as a priest, see, they want to try to sideline priests like me. Please don't fall into that trap yourselves. Some of you do. Oh, well, if he talks about heaven, that's going to be great. That'll be great. That'll be great. Because then we can still get away with voting in a stupid way. Let him just talk about heaven. No, I'm going to talk to you about voting. I'm going to talk to some of you about your hatred of the president. I'm going to talk to some of you about your misguided and very, very ill-advised allegiance to the Democrat Party. You got to repent of that. You got to repent of it tonight before you go to bed. So I want to talk here about, look at the big picture here. It's all political. What these House Democrats want to do, they're not concerned about racism. Let me make that very clear. In fact, they're very offensive to people like Alveda King, who works on our team full-time. She and I have talked about this with you, and we'll talk about it again. These people aren't concerned about racism. They're using it as a political weapon. Think about this for a minute. The same people now doing their dance, their psychotic dance on the floor of the House of Representatives, are accusing the president of racism. Just the other day, we're accusing Nancy Pelosi of racism. And the president had to defend her. You saw this, didn't you, on the news? The president said, whatever disagreements I have with Nancy Pelosi, she is not a racist. Well, isn't this odd? The people within the Democrat Party are now going around in circles criticizing one another and accusing one another of racism. They accused Nancy Pelosi of racism when she tried to say to the more radical fringe in the House of Representatives that they should bring their concerns to her instead of going out and just voicing them on social media. And for that, these children, these more progressive members of the Democrat House of Representatives, acting like children, just say, oh, well, she's saying that to us because we're people of color. You see, this has become like the one-size-fits-all defense mechanism. Whenever you feel threatened or whenever you want to, you can't address somebody's arguments or their position, so you just throw at them the accusation of being racist. So now that's what they have been doing to the president. Even some who They try to put them, see, the Democrats are trying to put themselves today on some kind of moral high ground, all right? First of all, they want to hide their ridiculous policies. They want to distract people from the fact that, first of all they're trying to do is win power in 2020. Secondly, they want to distract people from their utterly absurd policies. Socialism, trying to bring socialism to America, that's not going to happen. And trying to pass things like their crazy Green New Deal. You know what that in effect would do? Put a $65,000 per family tax on top of what you have now. You want to pay an extra $65,000 a year to the government, each and every family listening to me right now? That's this Green New Deal that people like Ocasio-Cortez and her little contingent are trying to foist on America. And it's amazing to see how she's eclipsing these 2020 Democrat presidential candidates. They don't want to go against her. They don't want to go. They don't have the intellectual strength to oppose these absolutely absurd ideas and policies. It's amazing. Yeah, Father Frank, don't talk about this, the Democrat loyalists are saying. Democrat loyalists in the church are saying this. Oh, that's another thing. The people how to put themselves on this moral high ground trying to represent Catholicism. I'm going to say something about the Catholic Catechism in a moment. But there are people now speaking out, this is not Catholic. This is not befitting of our Catholic faith. You don't give me that nonsense. Don't give me any of that nonsense. Catholicism is based on truth, not on fantasy, not on political ideology. So I want to look at. Let me read these words that the president tweeted the other day that have caused so much controversy. But I want to look at this now as from a moral perspective. Okay, those of us in the clergy, we teach morality. Okay, so let's look at this from a moral perspective and ask the question: is there racism in these remarks? Because if there's not, then we shouldn't be cheapening the term by applying it to remarks to which it doesn't apply. So let's see if really there's racism in these comments or not. Here's what the president said. So interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt, and inept anywhere in the world, if they even have a functioning government at all. Now, loudly and viciously, telling the people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how our government is to be run. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it is done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy to quickly work out free travel arrangements. I don't see racism in these remarks, and neither do a whole lot of other people. And the president responded very clearly to his critics, saying, I don't have a racist bone in my body. So exactly where is the racism in these remarks? Can you point it out to me? He's talking here, first of all, about people who are saying specific things and taking a specific position. That's not racism when you criticize a specific person's specific positions. You know what that is? That's criticizing a specific person's specific positions. You've never criticized anybody's positions? Some of you criticize mine. How is that automatically racism? If the person whose position you happen to be criticizing, if the person whose actions you happen to be objecting to happens to be a person of color, does it flow logically that the reason you are objecting to their words or their actions is because they're a person of color? That's actually racism in reverse. In other words, the people who are accusing the president of racism here simply because he's criticizing their words and actions are getting closer to racism than he is. Here's what racism would look like in this context. If he were to say, okay, so we're talking about the background of these individuals, let's say Somalia or Puerto Rico, all Hispanic governments, let's say somebody said this, all governments of all Hispanic countries are corrupt and inept and the worst in the world. That would be a racist statement. But he's not saying that at all. He's saying the specific people who keep criticizing viciously the United States, in this case, these progressive Democrat congresswomen, are coming from places that have worse problems than we do here. Remember, this is the President of the United States speaking, so he has a moral obligation to lead this country in the best way he can and to take legitimate pride in the way he's leading the country and in the way the country is flourishing. So he's saying something that all of us patriotic Americans say and feel. It's like, hey, it's not so bad to be here. You mean to tell me, especially those who think his comments are racist, you don't get hurt when people say bad things about America? So, do you love this country? Does your heart get lifted up when you see the flag? Or again, for those of you who don't know the first thing of what the priesthood is all about, do you think a priest is not supposed to be patriotic? You think priests aren't supposed to talk about the flag or love the flag? I'm telling you, there's some Catholics out there, you have really got a twisted idea of what Catholicism is and what the priesthood is. But we'll address that at a separate time. But really, some of you are really way out there. Wake up! We're Americans. We love our country. We get hurt when somebody speaks bad about our country. Patriotism is a virtue. V-I-R-T-U-E. It's a virtue. Part of the fourth commandment, honor thy father and thy mother, respect for authority, respect for the country, the civil authority under which we live, headed up by a president. Wow. This isn't racism. This is patriotism. Furthermore, what he's saying, I'll tell you what racism would look like here if he were to say to these progressive Democrat congresswomen that all of the people who are like you, all the people that are of your ethnic background should leave the country. And that's not what he's saying. That is nowhere to be found in these words. Where does he say that the reason they should leave the country is that they are people of a certain color or of a certain ethnic background? Would you please find me the words? Find me the words right here, right now, that he said in this tweet or anywhere else, that all the people of the backgrounds of these particular congresswomen should be leaving the country. And are we at the point here in our public discourse where we have so lost our sense of logic, so completely abandoned the basic ability that you learn in grade school of how to reason, that we have sunk to this level that all we can say about a person's position is that they're racist? Are we really at that low level of intellectual ability right now in America? that we can't put one and one together and get two, that we can't have a basic logical syllogism clear in our head and know what follows from what and what does not follow from what? Are we really there right now? That when somebody says, you specifically are criticizing America and how it is run, but you come from a place in your ancestry that has even worse problems, so to express a little bit of hurt and to say, you know what, we say these things all the time. We say, hey, listen, you're going to criticize me the way I'm doing it. You're not doing it any better yourself. This is a basic standard way of disagreement. Go back to your own country. If you hate America, see, the president is of the opinion, and I happen to share this opinion. And by the way, when people have an opinion, they're free to express it, okay, and especially here in America, that these people hate our country. Now, when we say these people, we're talking about these specific people in the House of Representatives right now who are saying these things. Ilhan Omar, oh my gosh. The way she talks about America, the way she talks about Al-Qaeda. She talks better about Al-Qaeda than about America. That's offensive to me. That should be offensive to anybody who loves our country. Certainly going to be offensive to the president of the country. What the heck is the matter with us? Have we lost all ability to have any kind of rational understanding of anything that's being said in our public discourse today? He's not talking about all the people of these ethnic backgrounds. That would be racism. All the people like you hate America, and all the people like you should go back to your own country. That's not what he said. I don't get it. And it's irresponsible to call him racist. It is judgmental to call him racist. It is contrary to the facts to call him racist. It is contrary to the words to call him racist. It is contrary to the good standing of this country to call him racist. And those that want to keep dwelling on racism, one has to wonder, what's the matter with them? It's with those who are calling him racist that they seem to have this illusion in their mind, this obsession that everything revolves around that. Would you please wake up and stop poisoning our national discourse, tripping up our ability to even communicate with each other by doing that? Well, okay. There's no racism in the president's tweets. Any of you who think differently, you're wrong. Secondly, what about these people who hate America so much? I mean, they came from their families are immigrant families, right? They came from, even if they themselves were born here, I mean, parents, grandparents, they came from other places. They have an ethnicity. Rashida Tlaib talks about her people. Palestinians. They came from somewhere else. Okay. Do people who come to America from somewhere else have any obligations to America? Let's think about that question for a moment. Catholic Catechism has something to say about that, something to say about immigration. And I'm just going to read one sentence here. Catholic Catechism, Section 2241 says the following: immigrants are obliged to respect with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them. Let me say that again very carefully. This is from the Catholic Catechism. And those people that try to be these holier-than-thou Catholics, Father Frank is a priest, and he's not being a good priest here because of whatever, fill in the blanks from the bad dreams that they had last night. This is so, I don't have the worst enemies in the world, but I do have the stupidest enemies in the world. But the point here is what the Catechism says. Let me read to you again. Immigrants are obliged to respect with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them. So then we come again to members of Congress who on a daily basis trash America, say that America isn't great, criticize America, deny the exceptionalism of America, talk about Al-Qaeda more favorably than they do of America, trivialize events like 9/11, lack the love, pretend that they want to serve this country, but lack the love and the passion necessary to serve this country. No, we're not going to let that go by. Let me read again the line from the Catechism. Immigrants are obliged to respect with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them. And when that doesn't happen, it's perfectly appropriate for all of us who are patriots and for the president of our beloved country to call them out. So he's calling out those that hate this country, and guess what? I'm doing the same thing. And that is not contrary to being an American. That is not racist. That is not contrary to being a priest. That is not contrary to being a Christian, and not a single person should try to say that it is. Because if you say that it is, we will just double down all the more on saying what we are saying. Enough is enough of this nonsense. It's offensive to reason. It's offensive to logic. It's offensive to America and to those of us who love America. Now, let me go to my friend now, Gary Bauer. Gary heads up American Values. Gary was a candidate for President of the United States, and he's a great public servant. I'm proud to call him a friend and a colleague. I want to read, he sends out a daily update email, and I want to read his reflections about what's been going on in the last few days, and this very intense public discord that has been going on with emotions running high on both sides. He sent out this email today called "Trump versus the Squad," and let me read this is from Gary Bauer. Look him up, Bauer. If there has been a consistent theme in these daily reports lately, it has been the growing anti-Americanism of the left. President Trump took it on in recent days, and now the left is howling in fits of rage. As you undoubtedly know by now, the president tweeted over the weekend that, quote, loud and vicious voices, end quote, on the progressive left were attempting to dictate how the U.S. should be run. He suggested that they, quote, go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came, close quote. Yesterday, amid mounting criticism, the president doubled down, saying, quote, as far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave, end of quote. By the way, I proudly say the same thing. You don't like this country? I'm certainly not forcing you to stay here. Nobody else is either. Leave. And again, that's not racist to say that. We're not saying all the people from your country should leave. All the people of your racial background should leave. Is that what we're saying? For goodness sake, stop hallucinating. We're saying you specifically who hate America. If you hate it so much, my goodness, let's put you out of your misery. We don't want to see you suffer so much. Leave. How is that racist? You tell me. I'm the moral spokesperson here according to my own profession, right? We're supposed to know something about morality, sin versus virtue, and what's right and what's wrong. It's what priests are supposed to be able to teach. I'm telling you, that's not a racist comment. If you hate America, why are you staying here? Unless you're trying to destroy it from within. That's pretty evil. And that's an evil that has to be called out as well. So you know what? Take your racist criticism stuff it back in your pocket or from wherever the heck it came. Keep your mouth shut. This criticism this nonsense has got to stop. Okay, let me go on with what Gary Bauer said. 4 members of the Progressive Squad, Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley, held a press conference yesterday afternoon. They accused the president of being a racist, of pushing a white nationalist agenda, of dividing the country and committing various crimes. Pressley refused to refer to Trump as president. Oh yeah, hey, Pressley, that's great for a congressperson to refuse to call the president. Wow, I mean, you must be really good at your job. She claimed that the Trump administration was putting children in cages at the border. Ilhan Omar accused the president of committing human rights abuses at the border and forcing women to drink out of toilets. She accused Trump of multiple crimes, including collusion with Russia, and she called for his impeachment. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez accused the president of ripping families apart at the border. Rashida Tlaib accused the president of utter disregard and disrespect for the Constitution. Well, that's a laughable thing for a Democrat to say. Respect for the Constitution? Democrats? What kind of judges have you been foisting on us for decades who ripped the Constitution to shreds, couldn't care less about the Constitution, looked to the constitutions of other countries to put into their court decisions to run the lives of Americans? Are you kidding me? For a Democrat to stand up and complain that somebody is disrespecting the Constitution, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. So she too urges Trump's impeachment. Now, Gary Bauer, again, I'm quoting my friend Gary, says, allow me to correct the record. Now listen to this, friends. First, those so-called child cages were built by Obama. And they are meant to protect children from random adults in the detention facilities. The cages were built by Obama, and they're meant to protect children from the random adults in the detention facility. Second, there is zero evidence that women in border detention facilities were told or forced to drink from toilets. Zero evidence. Again, has our public discourse gotten to the point where facts are not any more important than hallucinations? Third, as for separating children from their families, that's what happens when you break the law. Anytime a citizen breaks the law and is arrested, he's separated from his children. Moreover, many of these so-called families aren't families at all. The children are being used to exploit loopholes in our weak immigration law which the Squad refuses to fix. Separating children from their families. Maybe the parents should be a little bit smarter than to put their children in this situation in the first place, than to try to come across the border of a country not respecting its laws, which, again, for those of you that are Catholic purists, the Catholic Catechism says they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to respect and obey the laws of the country that they are seeking to enter. Don't throw Catholic teaching at me. They're supposed to respect and obey the laws of the country they're seeking to enter. The laws of our country have specific provisions regarding how you enter it. And it's really irresponsible of parents to be putting their children in a situation where they themselves, because they're breaking the law, are going to end up being separated from their children. There was just such hypocrisy on the other side, my friends, it is beyond belief. Never seen anything like this before. Fourth, Gary Bauer says, Robert Mueller and his team of Clinton-supporting lawyers found no evidence that President Trump colluded with Russia. Oh, but of course, that's not good enough for Democrats. The facts, never mind the facts. Next, as for disrespecting the Constitution, it is the left that routinely assaults the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, and our Second Amendment rights. That's right. Then Gary says, as for Omar, the House, now let's not forget this, the House of Representatives was forced to vote on a resolution condemning her repeated anti-Semitic remarks. And yesterday, she refused to condemn Al-Qaeda. And then, when it comes to dividing America, that's all the left does. It's all about identity politics. Once again, continuing to quote Gary Bauer, these progressives seem far more committed to helping illegal immigrants than to helping American citizens. AOC, who wants to abolish ICE, led the fight to stop Amazon from bringing thousands of jobs to New York. Omar spent the 4th of July belittling America. She later said she was ashamed of America, continuing to live in its hypocrisy, whatever that means. And don't forget that just last week, these people were accusing Nancy Pelosi of racism. Listen, they're like little children. They're acting like little spoiled children who don't know their right hand from their left. They certainly don't belong in Congress. They want to complain to everybody, having a fit when they don't get their selfish way, and they stand here complaining and belittling America, and then they get offended when somebody suggests that maybe they should just leave. I just don't understand this. Do not understand this. And I hope you feel the same way too, brothers and sisters. You know, we've got to call out these things as they're happening. Now, why am I talking about these things? As you know, my ministry, my whole life, my every hour of every day is zeroing in on ending abortion. Well, I'll tell you what is going on here, because this is all of one piece. These people aren't interested in ending racism. They're not interested in helping immigrants. What they are interested in doing is getting President Trump out of the White House. And what fuels that Trump derangement syndrome, ultimately at its root, is abortion. These people are criticizing the president for disrespecting the Constitution, and meanwhile, they don't even see that the Constitution has nothing to do with abortion. They think there's a right to abortion, and even think there's a right to infanticide. These people are trying to take the moral high ground to talk to us about children at the border, and they can't even lift a finger to protect children born alive after a failed abortion. Every single day in the House of Representatives, the Democrats are blocking an effort that the Republicans have been raising day by day to have a debate and vote on a law that would protect children born alive after a failed abortion. So I'm bringing all this up because these are the very same people that are motivated in all of this. Mark my words, they are motivated by continuing the American Holocaust of abortion. And if we're going to end abortion, we have to understand the roots of why it continues. And at the roots of why it is continuing are these out-of-touch radical Democrats. That's the fact of the matter. That's what this has boiled down to. And they see President Trump's determination to end abortion. They see all the money he's taking away from the abortion industry, your money and mine, which isn't supposed to go to baby killing. Even those who think that abortion should be permitted, by and large, don't want to be the ones to pay for it. So the president's on our side here. And they hate that. They hate that. And they want to do everything they can. All of this is just about to smear the president's reputation so that maybe they will affect some of the voters not to vote for him in 2020 so that they can continue unbridled their abortion business. The only thing standing in the way, politically and legislatively, of the abortion industry just expanding out of control right now is President Trump and his administration and the Republican Senate. And they know that full well, and they hate that Remember, these are the same people. All these people crying racism just like the boy cried wolf are the very same people who tried to destroy the reputation and career of Judge Brett Kavanaugh, who is now, thank God, Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And that fight was all about abortion too. Don't make any mistake about it. These are the same people. They were trashing Judge Kavanaugh without any corroboration whatsoever. Don't forget about that. Get the book, Justice on Trial, that just came out. My colleague, Carrie Severino, and also Molly Hemingway wrote this book. Fantastic, in-depth look at the Kavanaugh trial. It's very important that it's coming out right at this time, because we can't forget these are the very same people. They're not afraid to make things up. They're not afraid to slur and smear people's reputations and their record. They don't care about the facts. They couldn't care less about the truth. And they certainly don't have any moral high ground to stand on, while their hands are filled with the blood of children killed by abortion. That's what this is about. They're bloodthirsty for the blood of the littlest children. That's the issue that we're dealing with. And that's why I'm talking about this to you, brothers and sisters. We have to be lovers of America. And that's one of our motives in being pro-life as well. So, let me conclude here by a reflection on the gospel. We heard this past Sunday, the parable of the Good Samaritan. Man fell in with robbers, lying there on the road. A priest walks by, doesn't help the man. A Levite walks by, doesn't help the man. A Samaritan, Jesus said, came by, looked at the man, took pity on him, picked him up, brought him to an inn on his own donkey, and paid for his treatment. And then Jesus said, who was the neighbor to the man? And they answered him, the one who treated him with compassion. And Jesus said, then go and do likewise. Treat your brothers and sisters with compassion. The first thing you do to treat somebody with compassion is to protect their life. The single greatest offense against compassion in our society is abortion. There is nothing taking more human life than abortion. You can count, right? Count the numbers. Look up the numbers. How many people die from heart disease? How many people die from war? How many people die from abortion? Nothing comes anywhere near the numbers of those who are killed by abortion. And people want to stand on the platform of compassion when they're pro-abortion? That doesn't fly. That doesn't measure up. That doesn't hold any water. No. But look at the man who fell in with the robbers. What was the difference between the priest and the Levite that walked by that man, left him alone, didn't help him, and the Samaritan who did stop to help him? You know, Martin Luther King Jr., again, whose niece Alvita is one of my full-time colleagues here at Priests for Life. Martin Luther King Jr. preached on this gospel passage the night before he died. He was in Memphis, Tennessee, 1968, April, and he was preaching on this passage. And he said, here's the reason that he thought the priest and the Levite walked by the man, but the Samaritan stopped to help him. He said they were asking different questions of themselves. Because the road that the man fell in with the robbers from Jerusalem to Jericho was a dangerous road. It was called the Bloody Pass. There was a lot of sharp curves and turns where robbers could hide to attack their victims. And so people going down that road were kind of afraid. You know how it is when you walk through a neighborhood that you know is dangerous. You're kind of your pace picks up a little bit, and you're looking from side to side to see if there's any dangers. The last thing you want to do is stop for any reason whatsoever, right? Because you're afraid, and this is what Martin Luther King said that the priest and the Levite might have been thinking. You're afraid, hey, if I stop to help this man, what's going to happen to me? Maybe it's a trap. Maybe the robber's right around the next corner and they're going to attack me. So they kept on walking. In fact, they probably increased their pace when they saw that robber on the road. If I stop to help this man, what's going to happen to me? And then he said, the Samaritan reversed the question. And he said, if I don't stop to help this man, if I don't stop, what's going to happen to him? Friends, that's the question we have to ask. Of the unborn. You know, we always count the cost, don't we? Priests count the cost. You want to know why so many priests don't preach about abortion? If I stop to help this man, what's going to happen to me? How's my bishop going to criticize me? How are my parishioners going to criticize me? Who's going to stop putting money in the collection plate? How am I going to offend my Democrat friends? If I stop to help this man, what's going to happen to me? We count the cost. What are we going to lose? What of our reputation are we going to lose? What of our friends? Who of our friends are we going to lose? What business and money are we going to lose? What power and access and titles and positions and privileges are we going to lose? If we speak up for the person in need, if I stop to help this man, what's going to happen to me? If I speak up for America, what's going to happen to me? If I speak up for the president, what's going to happen to me? From the people who have Trump derangement syndrome. If I wear a MAGA hat, what's going to happen to me? Foolish, foolish question. You do what's right. You speak what's true. You intervene for those who need your help. Because the question, my friends, is not what's going to happen to me. Stop worrying about that. Stop counting the cost. Stop making things up. If I don't stop to help this man, what's going to happen to him? If we don't speak up for these children and defend them, what happens to them? They lose their lives. If we don't speak up for those in public office who love America, who defend America, who want to make and keep America great, then what's going to happen to our nation? You stand on the right side. We have the support of one another. We have the support of countless millions of other people. We are on the right side. Those who are on the wrong side, including some of those who have been leaving comments here tonight, their position cannot prevail, doesn't have any weight. Those who are on the right side, brothers and sisters, see, the problem is for some people, the problem is that there's division in our country, as if there was ever a time when there wasn't. For some, the problem is that there's a division in the church, as if there was ever a time when there wasn't. The problem is not division. The issue is not that there is a division. The issue, the concern, the main thing you should be worried about is whether you're on the right side of the division. Oh yes, some will be offended. You mean to say, oh, I like that comment, if I perish, I perish. Let's roll. Let's roll. That should be the topic. That should be the name of one of our broadcasts here. I like that. Let's roll. And someone is saying now so many Democrats in the church. That's right, including some that are dressed like I am. We're going to call them out. We're going to call them out. Don't count the cost. We're on the right side, brothers and sisters. We're going to get the job done. We have one another. Tens of millions of people have our back. We're going to go forward without fear, without hesitation, not counting the cost, making more sacrifices tomorrow to speak up than we did today, making more efforts the next day than we did tomorrow. Let's roll, let's roll, let's roll. Remember those men on that plane, those men and women, ready, willing to sacrifice their lives rather than let that plane hit its target and take other lives. So let's roll. Let's do what our founding fathers did. Let's do what that Good Samaritan did. Let's put ourselves in danger. Let's put ourselves in danger so that we can save lives and so that we can keep America great. Thank you for watching. May the Holy Spirit, who gives light to the mind, who gives speech to the tongue, who gives strength to the weary, who gives salvation to all, come upon you, bless you, answer your prayers, protect your family, and make you a strong witness to everything that is good and true. May He bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father Frank Pavone here of Priests for Life. Thank you for watching, and let's roll.
Hello, I'm Evangelist Alveda King. I am blessed to work with Priests for Life, one of the largest and most visible pro-life ministries in the world. Our whole team relies on your financial support to enable us to do our work, produce our programs, and travel the world to advocate for the unborn. May I ask you to support us generously? Go today to prolifegift.org and give as generous a gift as you can. I appreciate it personally and will pray for you each day.
But you know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than men. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around. But you know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than men. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around. But you know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than men. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around. But you know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than men. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around. take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than them. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around. But you know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government, so they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message.